Hi, my name is Mike Figueredo, and I want to welcome you to my brand new project, Dystopian Times. And I am really happy to have you here today, and I know what you're thinking. Mike, why are you wearing a backpack? Well, look, I hear that what all the cool kids are doing nowadays is they are wearing holsters to do podcasts, and I don't have that. However, I am packing heat. As you can see here, I do have my PSVR gun. This is going to have to suffice because that is everything that I have. And during the apocalypse, you can't take any chances. You have to pack heat. So this show basically is going to be about us coping with the fact that we live in a late stage capitalist dystopian hellscape. And we'll talk about the good stories, the bad stories together, and sometimes we'll just laugh together at the stupidity of others. It's going to be a variety show, and it will be live every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST. So without further ado, I think it's time for me to introduce my first guest. So let's go ahead and let's bring him in. Oh no, Sam Seder! Well, this is a fucking nightmare. I was not expecting this.
Oh my God! We fucking nailed him!
I think I lost him. I don't see him. So, since we're safe here, we're going to have to broadcast the Dystopian Times from this studio where I'm safe from Sam Seder. So, having said that, welcome to Dystopian Times.
For centuries, capitalists ruled the world. They crafted a dystopian hellscape and commodified everything. Life, democracy, even the planet. Facing extinction, a rebel group emerged to challenge the capitalists. The online left, a group of deviants, zoomers, and millennial misfits devoted to shitposting their way to a better world, one tweet at a time. Will they put aside their hatred of one another to defeat their capitalist common enemy? Find out now on Dystopian Times.
Witness destruction of everything that you known. While others chase the elite, we stand alone. Dark days coming, regardless, we never running. People still suffering, and everybody's wondering who's gonna lead the charge, who's gonna be the choice. Rooted from the bottom so the underdog can have a voice. Foundation based in reality. Power to the people, people power, not a fallacy. Call it what you want it, but I know you hear us coming. Eyes wide open, cause you see we're on to something. The future on the line. We're here to redefine. Political powers recognize these dystopian times.
Welcome, everyone, to Dystopian Times Live. I am humanist Mike Figueredo, and folks, I am really, really happy to see everyone today. We have so many great guests, so I'm just going to bring them out one by one, and we'll get the show rolling, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. So my first guest, you know her as Savage Joy. Savage Joy, welcome to Dystopian Times.
Hi, I can't believe I get to be first, too. That's amazing.
You are the first. Yeah, absolutely. I just felt like, it felt right to bring you into the stream first. So tell us what you do and where we can find you.
So I've had a video podcast for 4 years. Currently I am with Roar Media Live. We are 3 women and a gentleman who works with us on the shows. And it's kind of centered around women in streaming because there's not all that many of us. And you can find me on Roar. But also, if you just type in Savage Joy on YouTube, over 400 videos come up. So you can see my past stuff there as well.
Well, great. Thank you so much for being here. I have no doubt that you're going to make this a phenomenal episode. So let's bring in our next guest. You know him on Twitch, on YouTube. It is Shark300. Shark, welcome to the stream.
Hey, thanks for having me. What's going on?
Hey, not much. I'm so glad to have you here. I think that your videos are absolutely hilarious. Your streams are always entertaining. Tell us what you do and where we can find you.
Hey, so I do sort of like segmented streamed content. So we talk about politics, internet news, gaming. I want to kind of get into sort of like the commentary style of types of videos, and it's been really fun. We've been going for just over a year, and I've met some absolutely amazing people, like everyone on this panel and you yourself. So I really appreciate it. You can find me on Twitch. Shark300, that's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. A little hard to spell. Don't make fun of me for it. I made it when I was 13, and just about everywhere.
All right. Well, our next guest is also someone who I find just hilarious. She is on Twitch. She is on YouTube. She's DenimsTV, folks. Welcome to Dystopian Times, Denims.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I was very excited when I got the invitation. I'm Denims, just that, just DENIMS, the way it's spelled. I stream politics. I'm a leftist, and yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to have you here. And by the way, I'm a fan of everyone who's on here. I just want to talk to cool people who I watch, who are hilarious, who make me laugh. And yeah, I'm really excited. All right, folks. So the next individual that we have on the panel tonight is the host of Doomed. He's also a co-host on Majority Report with Sam Seder. Folks, it is Matt Binder. Matt, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Mike? It is a pleasure to be here, an honor to be on the first episode of this, on the first panel. Yes. And also, I have to say, after this week's events, it seems like a lucky timing as well.
Yeah, you know what? And on the agenda is, something that might interest everyone that I think you might have a little bit of insight into. So yeah, the stars aligned. So Matt, I'm so happy that you're here, and yeah, great to have you on the first episode. You're all going to set the tone, so no pressure. Like if this show's bad, then the rest of the series is going to be terrible, folks. So yeah. Okay, so let's bring in my last guest. You know him on Twitch. Every single Friday, he hosts the Hippy Dippy Roundtable. He brought me on last week, and it was, I guess, a train wreck, but it was so much fun. Folks, you know who this is. It's Dylan Burns TV. Dylan, welcome.
Hello, I'm the coastal elitist that your uncle warned you about. I'm the queer you should fear, the host of the Hippy Dippy Roundtable. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. That's such a cooler intro than mine. I feel like I need something. The queer that that's really good. Jesus, Dylan, you're upstaging me. Okay, folks. So we have everyone here. Thank you all so much to everyone that's watching. If you could all give this stream a like, that would be absolutely phenomenal. It'd be terrific. But without further ado, let's jump into the topics because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. And of course, we're going to kick things off on a very depressing note. We are going to talk about climate change because there's this article that just came out. Arctic scientists say we may have already passed climate tipping point. Now, the implications of this are very, very vast, but let's just go through here for a minute and read what this has to say. After the largest expedition ever to the North Pole, researchers say Arctic ice is receding faster than ever before, and that we may have already passed the point of no return on global heating. The expedition's leader, Marcus Rex, presented the team's findings on Tuesday, and he says there are several tipping points in the climate system which lead to irreversible sudden changes, which are triggered when the planet reaches a certain temperature. We have seen that we are on the verge of that tipping point, which will lead to the disappearance of the ice in the Arctic summer. Now, if that wasn't horrifying enough, a couple of years ago, we got the report from the IPCC, which says we had about 12 years to act if we wanted to stop catastrophic levels of climate change. A couple of years have already passed, and now, wrong video, now leaked IPCC draft climate report reads like a 4,000-page indictment of humanity's failure. This is a warning of existential risk, of survival, of collapse, said Extinction Rebellion. Now, for more on this, Andrea Germano, staff writer of Common Dreams, explains Agence France Presse reported Monday on the contents of a leaked draft of a United Nations Intergovernmental Climate Panel report, which warned that devastating effects of a warming world are set to hit far sooner than previously thought, with impacts including an additional tens of millions of people facing hunger by 2050. we're all going to be alive by then. We're all going to see the shit show. Now, we're not going to get too deep into this, but I do want to get the reaction from the panel here, because this is obviously worrying. And I mean, the show is called Dystopian Times, so we're starting out diving headfirst into the pile of shit. So Dylan, as a young man who in your golden years, where, you know, you in theory should be retiring, you know, you're going to be seeing climate apocalypse. Do you have any optimism left in you, or do you feel as if we are headed straight off a cliff as a species?
Well, as a young lad, obviously it concerns me. I can't be one of the people who like, well, I'm 92 years old. I lived through these wonderful car manufacturing industries and having a wonderful union on my back. I'm not going to be able to live through that reality. I got to live through the reality I'm in, which shows like me never being able to own a home, maybe, and apartments. And we all know the current dystopia we live in. Name of the podcast. Wonderful.
Yeah,
but,
nice quote there.
Yeah, wonderful. You know, see, I know how to host. But the thing is, it's really when you look at it, like, I can't, whether or not it's gonna happen or not, I'd rather go down fighting, you know? I'd rather have that be humanity's story. Let's say we're fucked. Let's just assume right now that we're fucked anyway, right? It'd be a shit movie if we ended it just being like, right? If we have even the sliver of a chance, we should still struggle for it. Because even the thing is, this person, as said in the article, there's multiple tipping points. So it's like we passed the first tipping point. Oh, God, that's terrible. The solution isn't, well, okay, let's jump off all the tipping points. It's like breaking one leg. It's like, well, let's bring all three of our other limbs and like gut ourselves publicly in the square. So I would say that whether or not we've passed the tipping point, even though, of course, I hope we haven't, we should, of course, do everything we can to avoid crossing the other tipping points. Sadly, there's multiple economic and geopolitical advantages to multiple nations and politicians to not do it. The Russians, of course, want us to continue to be reliant on oil and natural gas because that props up the entirety of the economy that is kept in a backwater. The United States has two parties which still take large amounts of donations from oil and gas companies which want to continue their reign in the United States, and multiple politicians who still deny climate change. Our last president of the United States, the most powerful person on the planet, denied climate change was even real. And then the Chinese economy and the Chinese nation still has a lot of growing to do in their eyes. And by the time they would go off of coal in their projections, it would be like 2050, which we would still go past multiple more tipping points. So every major geopolitical force has multiple incentives to literally do nothing because they can't see 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Sadly, the biggest motivation I see in the United States right now for us to actually address climate change is that we're seeing more reports every day on how this could actually affect our military effectiveness. And it's sad that it could take that to actually make us act.
Yeah. And whatever makes us act is good. But I like the thing that you said about basically, you know, if we're going to go down, we should go down fighting. On that note, Denims, what do you think ultimately is going to happen? Like, do you believe that we're going to see a Green New Deal within the next 10 years? Give us your thoughts on this situation, because I feel like I've kind of embraced the black pill, or I've taken the black pill, and I am a bit of a doomer. What are your thoughts on this? If you can give me some optimism, that would be much appreciated.
So I really want to believe that we can push for policies that eventually, you know, maybe remove us from the hellscape that we are currently barreling towards. And I know you prepared another segment with Dave Rubin and Michael Knowles, and that's truly like the epitome of like intelligence online. It really sent me to watch. And I think we'll do it despite all of the rightoid misinformation. Like, the right wingers see articles like this, and then immediately they think like, oh, this is like the 10th time they've said it's going to be over for us. And they don't really understand what these reports actually mean and how there are like maybe multiple tipping points that like cause like irreversible damage. And after that point, you can't go any further. And so it's frustrating that exists, but I'm really like happy with the amount of leftists online that are making videos, making content, and like maybe pushing people away from these ideas. And the more people we push away from these ideas, the more people we get in favor of voting Democrat, voting people who actually support things like the Green New Deal. So I have my fingers crossed. I'm going to believe because I'd rather believe than not believe.
Hey, I'll take it. A little bit of copium. No, and that's a great point. I will say that the urgency, like how bad the situation is and how we need to address it yesterday, I do feel as if there has been a bit of a paradigm shift. And really, I started to notice this with the IPCC report. Shark, what are your thoughts on this situation? Do you actually think that it's there's going to be this time where eventually we just elect enough millennials and progressives and they take action, or is there going to be some sort of worldwide groundswell, kind of like we saw over the last couple of years with the kids climate march, the school walkouts? What are your thoughts on this? What do you think it's going to take in order to have any movement on this issue?
I think one of the really big things that it'll take is people seeing it in their personal lives. So when you can't walk outside in the summertime without like shoes on because the concrete is literally melting you, when you can't grow anything really, and you like miss a day of watering and like the little, because like a lot of millennials, they love their plants. I personally love plants. I have a whole rack of plants, like house plants over here. I show it on stream sometimes. I love growing things. When those people, when you plant like your little garden and it just like completely just like raises over, like you're living out in the middle of nowhere, like Courage. I really feel like those sorts of things that start to impact people's lives a little bit more are going to start to push them that way. I mean, we've been seeing it where every single year is the hottest year ever. I think you're really starting to get people to be like, hey, we really got a problem here. And like Dylan said, I mean, just because we passed the first tipping point, if we have, doesn't mean that it's over. There's lots of problems, and who knows, maybe like sometime in the next like 100-200 years or something, maybe if we like really get our act together, your kids or your grandkids will start to see like us maybe pulling back from some of that, and the CO2 leaving a little bit, or more solutions getting being brought up, because science changes every single year and we're moving a lot faster. I don't like to take the black pill on like literally anything. I really feel like there have been hundreds of generations all throughout human history that thought that this was going to be the end. And I feel like we're no different. But our problems are now really a lot bigger than your local town getting raided. But for those sorts of people, you getting on like the Lord's bad side and them just like slaughtering your entire town, I mean, that was a reality, right? I feel like humans are incredibly resilient, and I like to look at it in the sense of where, as climate is getting worse, more people are talking about it, and I think we can talk about capitalism and everything, and I do believe that we won't really see like a real fix to this. We always want to like slip back into the easiest, like lowest common denominator, as long as we still have like capitalism around. But if we have to work in the system that we do, I really think that we're moving in a good direction. Now, whether it's fast enough, we can debate on that. But I don't really like the idea of giving up. And I really think that we can make a turnaround as long as we make sure that we stay on it.
Yeah, I love the sentiment from the panel, because I feel like you all are less doomer than me, which is really important. For me, I went through this like 2-year period, I think, after the IPCC report came out, and it really it fucked with my head, because I was thinking, man, like how much longer does humanity have left? Like, is it 100 years? Is it 200 years? But I've kind of like stepped away from the ledge, and now I'm thinking, you know what? I think that human beings really are resilient, as Shark was saying, and I think we'll survive. I mean, there's going to be catastrophe. It's going to be ugly. Wars over water is something that all of us may possibly see in our lifetimes, and that really is horrifying. But I do think that in the end, we will continue to go on as a species. Matt, give us your take on this.
I mean, yeah, I think humans will be fine. Not so much the rest of the life on Earth. That will definitely be what we lose. We'll definitely lose some species of animal. There will be, there'll be places that aren't quite the same in terms of their natural resources and the beauty about certain areas. But I feel like, a lot of times in coverage on climate change, and when people are talking about, what could we do to stop, cut back on global emissions and stop this from happening, I feel like so much is always presented like, here's what you can do. And the fact of the matter is, especially at this point, there's nothing you or I can do. We're not the problem, essentially. There was a report not long ago that said that there were around 100 companies, I think there are, that are responsible for something like more than 70% of the global emissions. I mean, this isn't a problem that this isn't like, oh, turn your water. Like remember when there was the water, conserving water crisis many years ago. In some places it still is, but it was bigger in this country a couple of years ago. That's not something that we can do. We can't shut off a faucet and conserve energy and that'll solve the problem, because this problem is well beyond one person, one town, one state, one country. This is a global crisis that is being propelled by greed in the form of mainly the fossil fuel companies, who basically we now know have known about this issue and the dangers of climate change decades before anyone else was ringing the warning alarms.
Yeah, and great points about that. I'm gonna ask Joy a bit of a broad question. Do you think that there's going to be some sort of paradigm shift to where we actually move away from this economic system that we have? Because I feel as if global capitalism really is what's accelerating the process. I mean, as Matt Bender pointed out, 100 companies are responsible for 70% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So do you think that there's going to be a move away from capitalism? And this is a giant question, so you can't possibly know the answer to this. And I'm not asking you to bring up a crystal ball. But what do you think is going to happen? Will there be movement? Will it get bad enough to where things do have to change? Or do you think we're going to see a giant swing when people or countries move away from capitalism? What are your thoughts on that overall? Because I still am kind of torn individually on this. I think that we're probably not going to get off of capitalism for a very long time, perhaps not in my lifetime, but if we just move more towards social democracy gradually, perhaps that might change things. Give me your thoughts on this, Joy, because I'm all over the place on this. There's no coherent thought in my mind when it comes to climate change, because I just my eyes glazed over when I think about everything that has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't see an end to capitalism in any of our lifetimes. And one of the most basic reasons is because, we could say, oh, we only shop at thrift shops and we are very, we reuse and we're very, choosy with things we purchase, but others aren't. And as long as there's Amazons and places like that, capitalism is going to exist. So there's two issues with that. A, rich people don't pay any taxes, so they just keep, making bajillions of dollars and it doesn't matter. And then that breeds more capitalism because people buy stuff and then they work more to get the money to buy stuff. And also money in politics that plays into capitalism. That's, these things would have to change in order for it to be even an option. As far as, what you guys were all discussing, I definitely am going to have to disagree with Denims. I personally really don't give a fuck if Dems are elected. Yeah, they're better than Republicans, but I mean, we have a so-called Democrat president and he's literally a Republican and he doesn't give two shits about climate change. So just because he acknowledges that it exists means absolutely nothing. As well as, the squad or whoever who, talks about the Green New Deal yet hasn't said anything in months. So things like that. It's not just about electing people. We have to get past electoralism. We have to. It comes down to us as people. We have to act on this shit.
I feel like, Joy, you've also taken the black pill. Is that correct?
Am
I the only, or am I the only one to take the black pill?
Joy, so it was kind of a curse to begin with. But
yeah, I feel like your name is Joy, but you took the black pill. Come on.
I haven't necessarily. However, I do kind of sometimes do the no expectations, no disappointments. I just keep it real. If you put your faith into electoralism, politicians, things like that, you're going to have a rough fucking time, because we only have each other. Like, as you know, hippie as it sounds or whatever, not me, us. Like, this is, you know, it's up to us. It's not up to people in suits in DC. You can't count on them.
Right. It's not up to them. But I mean, you said, you know, it's up to us. What do you suggest we do about climate change that doesn't involve government intervention in some way?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We have to, you know, when we hold politicians accountable, there is so much pushback. Like, it is like, how dare you say that? You know, no, we need to hold politicians accountable, period. They're not celebrities, like, whatever. We need to hold them accountable. We need to call their office. We need to do strikes, like impromptu and things. A lot of people are not activists. They're not. So we need to create more.
I absolutely agree with that people need to get more active. But who do you think is going to be more responsive to those phone calls, a Democrat or a Republican?
That's why I said, I mean, yeah, Dems are, you know, better than a Republican, but that's not saying much.
I mean, in this case, though, it sort of is, because Republicans they don't even believe climate change exists. They're not going to be responsive at all.
Dems believe they exist and they do nothing. So,
Sure. I mean, this is why we have a mix between electoralism and actual activism, right? We can push for candidates that we actually care about. I voted Bernie during the primary. I really wanted him to win. But to completely disregard electoralism, like, what am I supposed to do about, like, Nestle? What am I going to, like, march at their door until they stop being evil? Like, I can't do anything. I can't hold them accountable, but I can hold my local politicians accountable who can help hold them accountable.
Can I give an example of this? So there are like tangible differences between Republicans and Democrats, but of course it's a combination of direct action and electoralism, because you're going to need to pair government action with direct action to get anything done. And a lot of times they intertwine, that you want actually politicians participating in direct action, and you also like want individuals participating in the electoral politics. But I think that there is a stark difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and we can see that when it comes to proposals and negotiations, which we can, of course, disagree with negotiations happening, but here's a great example. So in the Biden, of course, canceled the XL Keystone Pipeline, and then he went into his infrastructure plan proposal. And in that infrastructure plan proposal was about $2 trillion, which is historically significant, but we would, of course, want more. Within that, here's just one aspect of it. $174 billion for electric car infrastructure. The Republican counteroffer was $2 billion. That is such a stark difference between the parties that it's not only something that is almost impossible to negotiate with, but impossible for us to get that type of legislation through without significantly more electoral leverage that we would need to gain in 2022 and direct action in pressuring politicians. But of course, like, I think there's also this confusion about, like, well, then let's pressure the ones now that are in office. That electorally right now is going to need to be expanded upon, because Joe Manchin is literally in the perfect political position. And what I mean by that is for his own benefit. One of the things that people didn't cover, which I think is of extreme significance when you talk about our Senate majority, is the first thing Mitch McConnell did when he lost the majority was walk up to Joe Manchin and say, want to join the Republican Party. Because this is something that happened in West Virginia before. The governor of West Virginia used to be a Democrat, and then he switched parties. He used Democrat dollars to get elected and then became a Republican. That is a scary reality we face that can only be countered with direct action on top of electoral victories that we need to see in 2022, building off of, like, the stimulus bill that we got through and the canceling of XL Keystone Pipeline and passing popular policies.
And while that is true, and I just want to clarify again, I did say that, yeah, Dems would be better to get elected than Republicans. I just want to say that again. But, you know, to your point, also, the thing is, yes, Biden did that. And yes, it is such an improvement. However, he also has people in his cabinet who are complete oil shills and completely, you know, can't think of the Raytheon people and stuff. I mean, so yes, credit where it's due, but that does not negate the fact that he's a warmonger and our MIC is the biggest contributor to climate change. So all of these things need to be looked at together. And yes, vote. Yes, reach out and get into local politics. But it is not enough. That's my point.
Yeah, so to put a bow on this entire thing, if I can kind of like characterize your argument, Joy, and like bring it in with everyone else's, I feel like kind of what you're saying is that the catalyst isn't necessarily going to be politicians and electoralism. Like, we do have to be the catalyst, but of course there has to be this, multi-pronged approach where we can't just discount electoralism and just say, okay, well, I'm only going to do grassroots. There has to be a combination of everything. And for me, my strategy always when it comes to politics is just like throw every single thing you've got against the wall and see what sticks. But yeah, the fact that Democrats are better than Republicans, I think that that's obvious to any leftist. I'm not going to create a false equivalence. But what really is frustrating is that they aren't necessarily capable of meeting the moment. I don't think anyone on the panel would deny that, But one thing that I will say, and this is me trying to segue into my next segment, which I'm not good at yet, but I will get better at, is that everyone here on the panel, you clearly, like you've thought about this. For me, thinking about climate change absolutely worries me, but there are some individuals, our peers, that don't necessarily take it as seriously, regardless of what the approach may be. And I am, of course, talking about Rave Dubin, Michael Knowles. So, folks, before we get to that, I am going to play a little bit of an intro because we're bringing back an old segment that only, I think, like the longtime viewers of the Humanist Report will recognize.
In a world of politics dominated by the strange, the deranged, and outright insane, we'll now take a moment to shine a light on the craziest of what politics has to offer. This is your weekly dose of stupidity.
And bringing us the stupid this week is Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. Now, this is a conversation that they're going to have about climate change. And if you survive this and your head doesn't pop off your shoulders, then you are truly a remarkable human being. So let's watch together, folks.
Climate change is an existential threat to the human race.
Man.
Done.
Yeah, it's not. And even if it was, we'll get off this rock. We'll figure something else out.
We'll figure it out, man.
Just stop whining about it. It's just so boring. I saw Deep Impact. A couple people survived.
Come on.
What happened to Bruce Willis at the end of Armageddon? I don't remember, but I think he lived. Or at least Affleck lived, right?
Yeah.
They are so intelligent.
For the record, Bruce Willis dies at the end of Armageddon. He dies.
It's been a while.
Really good.
I mean, there's a reason that Aerosmith song blew up during the 90s, and it's because Bruce Willis dying during that movie while it was playing in the background while he's crying Liv Tyler, is crying as he's left on the asteroid to die. Yeah.
Now, before we lay into them, I actually want to defend them. I have a list of 5 things. I came prepared, Mike. I came prepared.
I love it.
A list of 5 things that show that maybe, they got a point. Number 1, if climate change happens and the water rises, then maybe the islands will get so small that Steven Crowder literally will not be able to physically avoid Sam Seder. And then they'll have to debate. That's the first point. Point number 2, if you like hiking, there's going to be a lot of climate migrants that you can join. Number 3, Delaware might sink into the ocean, and that's one less tax haven. So, if you're progressive, and as a Marylander, I'd really appreciate it. Number 4.
I like the idea that I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a 4th. Go ahead, my bad.
Yes. Number 4, it's if you starve and you get so skinny to the point where you can't move your fingers, then you can't tweet on Twitter and cancel me. So that's a cancel-less society. That's pretty cool. And number 5, we'll probably stop any ban on plastic straws because it'll be pointless, and we can finally get back the turtle darts, as I like to call them.
I'm completely.
You know what I really love about this? That they totally think like, we'll just live on a moon or Mars colony, whatever, no big deal, as if that's like the cheaper option than just fixing the problem right now here on Earth. Like, we can't fix climate change, whatever, but we will just build a colony and a whole civilization on another planet that still doesn't even have life on it yet. I mean, these guys are ridiculous. And also, I love the idea that Dave Rubin, while I'm sure he has a significant amount of money, I love the idea that he thinks he's rich enough to be in that crowd. Let me tell you something. When Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos make their little Elysium world in the sky, in space, I should say, and leave all the peons down here, Rubin will be left here on Earth. He'll surely be one of the peons.
All right, billionaires
we will be
only.
here working to make their little world. Right. I mean, the idea they won't save us. The billionaires won't save us. They're doing this for themselves. And anyone who can pay, I think Jeff Bezos on his little flight coming up in July to space, I believe the winning bid to be the passenger with him was something like $28 million for a 10-minute flight in space. I don't know about you guys, but that's not looking very good for how we're going to be shipped off of Earth when the impending apocalypse comes.
You underestimate the bootstraps, my boy.
Yeah, when Jeff Bezos triggers the third impact, he's gonna make sure he gets his ass out of here. You can pay $28 million to breathe the same recycled air with him before he ejects you out. So he gets a little lighter, so he gets
But
there
the view is gonna be so nice as you're getting ejected. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I just think it's really incredible that they think like the best option is to get off, just start like planet destroying, fucking planet hopping from like one. We broke this one, let's go to the next one. Oh, we broke that one, let's go to the next one, and then have this like colony of just like peons just stuck on that rock to like wilt. And he's like, oh, we need to make sure we stop talking about it. It's just so annoying. I just get so bored when I'm sitting in my $28 million house that the single Koch brother bought for me, that I'm renting from him. I get to sleep in the closet. It's really nice. He's a really cool guy. I know he's gonna take him with me, like he's his little pet. He's gonna walk him over to the ship, bud. I'm sorry, while you're talking to us about how he's gonna take you, the ship is gonna be going off in the background. He doesn't like you. They're not your friends, bud. I'm sorry. It's just really ridiculous how these people, their brains, if we can even call it that, are not working.
I also think it's
smooth brains. Sorry, go ahead, Dennis.
No, yeah. I also think it's really funny that they like think that the word existentialist is like it's a step too far, like, oh, lots of life and, like forest and all this, like all the entire planet just getting destroyed. And it's like, but is it really an existential crisis? That seems like you're using harsh words. It like rings as like the same thing when like conservatives will say like actually bigoted stuff, and then you'll be like, you're kind of a bigot, and they're like, whoa, that's such harmful language. And it's like, well, that's just the correct language to describe this. So I don't know why this is why you feel this way about this.
Yeah, we all know that Twitter censorship is more existential crisis to the human population than climate change.
Thank you, Shark. Somebody had to say it. I agree.
Let's be honest with ourselves, okay?
Dylan?
Joy hasn't gotten to talk yet. I didn't want to talk.
Go. I'm still like
just thinking. Okay, letting the gears turn. I got you.
Yeah.
So here's something that I always thought about. So as somebody who's like, I'm very interested in foreign policy. The amount of climate migrants that we're gonna have is gonna be astronomical, right? And I always thought, like, I remember how much hate and vitriol and fear came from the right when just one country, the country of Syria, had a large amount of migrants come out of it due to the rebellion against Bashar al-Assad and just brutal bombing campaign and everything that happened there. Do they not realize that like this would be a climate migrant, just tidal wave of people? Like, would be the best way to like get like a Steve Bannon or one of these types of weird figures that usually won't care on board, just to be like, spooky climate migrant, and then boom, and then maybe get them on board. Like, what would that? Do you think that'd be morally permissible?
I mean, do you think that they hate climate change more, or that they hate immigrants more?
That is an interesting proposal,
right?
Say that again, Shark.
Well, they don't think climate change exists, so maybe we could hop them on by saying, "Oh no, it may exist." So let's prepare ourselves by making sure that they won't come here by fixing climate change first. But I don't know, it's like really interesting how, I mean, I know you have to like meet people where they're at sometimes. I mean, that would kind of start to be like a little bit of a hard one. But at this point, I kind of feel like when it comes to lots of conservatives, you have to like drag them on a little bit. You know how a lot of progressive proposals help out Republican constituents more than Republicans ever could possibly imagine? I feel like it's one of those situations where it's like, where the revolution comes, buddy, not only are you going to get the wall, you're going to get 4 walls and a roof and clean water and free education. And like, and you just have to be like, I mean, we're going to give you all the things that you like, you know, ostensibly like the nice things that you want. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got to highlight this comment from Ryan Tennant. They'll definitely become eco-fascists. And speaking of fascists, Ron DeSantis, isn't he a bit of like an environmentally semi-friendly Republican? I mean, the political spectrum in the United States, it's going to get all twisted. It's going to be flipped upside down. I just want to go back to that clip. Joy, I feel like you and I are both on the same level in terms of like how nerdy we are. So you've probably thought about this too. How funny is it that we have ruined our planet, right? Completely fucked up our planet to the point. Don't take that out of context. No, to the point where like they're contemplating leaving the planet, but we're so stupid that we fucked up our own planet, but yet we can terraform another planet. And Shark kind of like made this point as well. This logic is nonsensical. If we can't fix our planet and terraform this planet, what makes them think we're going to terraform Mars? So Joy, make your piece on this because I know you have a lot to say about that clip.
It's like there's just no thought process. It's the privileged way of, we'll just start a new planet. I mean, it's no thought for future generations or anything like that. It's just it's just the planet. Like, who cares? I actually interviewed brilliant climate scientist Peter Kalmus. Dude is freaking amazing, but he scared the living shit out of me by just stressing just how many climate refugees we'll have and just how bad everything will get if it's not acted on. So that kind of nonchalance there, that ignorance, it's kind of scary that it might be more prevalent than we think it is.
Yeah, and since we're really diving like headfirst into the brains of right-wingers, we're gonna go to the lowest of the low, folks. Of course, I'm talking about Steven Crowder. Now, Steven Crowder this week got the surprise of his life when he was ambushed by Sam Seder. And I do want to look at some of the comments in response, but for more on this, we are going to go to Dystopian Times correspondent Sahil Habibi of Progressive Voice, who's going to give us the breakdown here of what is going on. And he doesn't know that he's a correspondent yet, but Sahil, you're a correspondent. So take it away.
So it appears that Steven Crowder once again has been exposed and debunked. What you guys can see is obviously, how much of a spectacle and barrage this debate with Sam Seder has ended up turning out to be for him. It's been completely devastating. It's been a complete massive failure, essentially. And so what you can see now is Steven Crowder was, he was really angry. He was really pissed that Sam Seder showed up as a surprise to debate him. But somebody pointed out that Steven Crowder has his own series where he actually confronts people who talked about him. So he has a Crowder Confront series where it's some kind of what he determines or deems to be a leftist. They've talked about him, and then he confronts them for a debate on said issues. So Sam Seder shows up to talk to him and debate him, but he's very angry about that, and he's very against the surprise debates, and he, feigns outrage as he wasn't able to have a layup, in his own words, opponent like Ethan Klein, who does comedy on YouTube and he doesn't do politics, but he's running shitless from Sam Seder. So once again, Steven Crowder getting exposed further as somebody who saying he doesn't like the surprise debates, but he does them himself. So Steven Crowder, his whole thing is all hypocrisy. And now what you're seeing is this whole facade of like these right wingers being these amazing debaters. They said this for years, by the way, that the left doesn't want to debate them. The left is too scared. They were so up there about that. But it turns out they can only debate uneducated college kids, is what they do. That's exactly what they do. And so that's what he made his whole career off of. Those are the ones that you see in the Change My Mind videos. And so when you have somebody really educated in the political sphere, and not some like Antifa protester or whatever SJW professor you're saying, somebody who's skilled in the art of debating as well as politics and is a policy wonk, you run away from him because you know that it's trouble. Actually, it seems to be his dad that's the one that's really telling him to stay away from him.
Okay, we'll stop it right there because I do want to get to the comments here. And by the way, everything that Sahil is saying is totally correct. Subscribe to Progressive Voice if you're not already subscribed. I don't know what you're doing with your life. Shout out to Sahil. But I have to point out, like, I'm not a debater, right? I don't really do this. I'm basically a beta male cuck, as the right might say. And I'm not sure if you're all familiar with Styx Hexenhammer 666. So he backed out of a debate with me on 3 different occasions. And the same excuse that he used is the same excuse that Steven Crowder used against Sam Seder. Oh, your audience isn't big enough. And it's like I ended up having this show all of the DMs, which confirm him saying, oh, this is going to be a great matchup. It's going to be so cool. I just think that like they only want to debate college kids, as Sahil pointed out. But I've got to look through this here. So basically, Steven Crowder is trying to spin this as it's not necessarily him that got embarrassed. It's actually Ethan of H3. You can't say that Sam was embarrassed because Sam absolutely, objectively was not embarrassed. But it's Ethan Klein of H3 who's the coward. So look at this title here: the greatest self-own. H3 Rex himself brags about it. So he did change the pinned comment. At first, he was calling Ethan Klein a coward, and then a lot of people responded to saying, actually, you're the coward, so he changed it. But I just want to go through some of these comments before we discuss, and I feel like Matt probably has some insight that he can give us. So first of all, this comment here, 20,000 likes. Looks like someone's father wasn't around to teach them how to be a man. I mean, it's beautiful. He literally showed himself getting up and checking if the other guy was live. And he admitted this. Like, I feel like I hate Steven Crowder. He's a terrible human being. He's a homophobe. He's a transphobe. And like, he is scum of the earth. But even I felt bad, like seeing how embarrassed he was. Like, this is like the definition of cringe. Gus says, I can't believe he hit his face from the camera. I cringed so hard I couldn't feel my face. And that's like, that describes me. It's that secondhand embarrassment that's like quintessential cringe. So am I the only one that wanted to see the debate? I would have loved to see the debate. If and we'll stop that with the comments there. Here's my take on this. It wouldn't have been as bad for Crowder if he just like stayed and debated. The fact that he ran away made it so much more worse. And this whole debate me bro culture is slowly but surely falling apart. Matt, please give us the juicy tidbits that we missed.
Well, I think honestly, most of it is public now. I think Sam went through the whole story on his show about how it went down. You know, if you don't know, here's a quick summary. Basically, Sam was scheduled to debate Crowder at a Politicon a couple of years ago. Once Crowder found out that Sam was who he was going to debate, he pulled out of the event. On a recorded call that Sam has aired, Politicon's one of Politicon's bookers have gone on the record to say that Crowder's dad pulled him out once they found out he would be debating Sam Seder. So Sam has pursued this like one would do once finding this out, right? I mean, if anything, it makes for good content that someone is literally running scared from you. And then, this came up with Ethan of H3H3. His producer apparently is a fan and told the story that I just told you guys on their show. And then they had this idea to bring Sam on because H3H3 and Crowder was feuding. And Crowder wanted to debate Ethan from H3H3 because, and Ethan has said on the air himself, I'm not a political person. I don't do a political show. I just had some thoughts about the CDC and COVID. And that's what Steven Crowder was so mad about. And Crowder even called it a layup to his face. Like this was going to be an easy debate. I was just going to destroy you, Ethan. And so, the fact that Crowder ran away from this tells you everything you need to know about, like you said, the debate me bros. Their house of cards is falling apart when someone with some sort of skill and knowledge of the issues wants to discuss it with them. And here's the thing too, that if Crowder stayed there and actually debated Sam, his audience would have been able to spin it much easier. You know what I mean? Crowder would have been better off, even if he lost the debate to anyone who, has a unbiased mind. His crowd still would have looked at it as a win because they've already used to his talking points. They would view them as the winning view. But, he couldn't even do that. He was that scared to be called out by Sam. It's just bizarre that he would do that. I think that's really weird, but I guess it just shows you they just are afraid of what would happen to their audience. We know for a fact. What was that about?
Did you see the Mug Club member calling into Sam's show and saying I really wanted to see him debate you? You can't prime your audience for multiple years to debate people and then just turn down obvious debates that you said were going to be easy.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not a debate me bro guy, and Sam isn't either, by the way. There are people who think Sam goes around doing this. Sam literally takes calls every single day, Monday through Friday on his show. Anyone could call in. He's just happened to create this persona because so many right wingers, especially libertarians, would call in and debate Sam, and Sam would, to be fair, dispatch them with ease. And so, people will like seeing Sam debate. And, if Crowder never was set up to debate Sam at Politicon, this never would have been a thing. He wouldn't just go after Crowder for no reason. Same with Dave Rubin, by the way. Dave Rubin was supposed to have a sit down, a debate with Sam. And then the late, great Michael Brooks said something on an episode prior to the debate that really hurt Rubin's feelings. So from that moment forward, he canceled the debate and refused to have any sort of interaction with Sam. If you ask me, he was just looking for an easy out.
Oh yeah.
But it's just ridiculous. Sam saw an opportunity to put this guy on blast, and it honestly, you can say whatever you want to say about it. It 100% worked. And I love the people who are Crowder fans who reply to people on the left who are talking about how much Sam put him on the spot, who are they're owning Ethan for being scared of the debate. Right. Ethan said himself, this is not my thing. And also, no offense, Ethan, but we're not. This wasn't about Ethan. We don't. You want to call Ethan? I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? You want to disparage Ethan? Go ahead. He's not someone who represents the left.
Yeah, it's just it's pure deflection. He's trying to spin it, but very poorly so. I said this on my program, and I'm sure that every single one of us has made at least one video. I fucking love this story, so I've been talking about it a lot. But and I'm losing my train of thought. What was I going to say? Okay, I don't remember what I was going to say. But it was going to be, listen, it was going to blow your mind.
I think I think the only reason why Crowder really ran was because he didn't want this to be the fourth, maybe even the third biggest disappointment that he had in his life to his father. He pulled him out from it before. He knows that imagine being such a disappointment to your own dad, who's also your producer, that he pulls you out of several debates with this guy. He knows his limits. Okay. Crowder is still on training wheels when it comes to debating people. That's why he sits down and talks to college freshmen walking to their English class in 3 p.m. okay, and make sure that he records it 2 weeks in advance and hides his entire travel plans to make sure nobody who ever has a platform can ever find him. And still sometimes he still gets bodied there. So if that's the case, then obviously he's not going to be there or with anybody who knows what they're doing. Come on now. The second he was talked about with anybody else, an OG sort of YouTuber, my man was jumping at the bit to talk about some debate some mid-30s comedy massive vape bro YouTuber who slouches in his chair and coughs and just talks about internet culture as his job. Okay, and that was the peak debate to him. And finally, someone who comes up who actually knows what they're talking about is there. He goes, "Whoa! I mean, I gotta get out of here. Hey, take the glasses off. Let me see your velveteen rabbit buttons." Which, if you didn't know, I'm 90% sure that's an anti-Semitic reference.
Yeah.
Actually. So I mean, he's just like a complete clown. I think we all just about know this. Oh yeah, and also talking to Sam would have been, I think, the second largest person that he would have like debated besides like Cenk Uygur, but he didn't really debate Cenk. In his screeching match with Sam and Ethan, basically what he said was like, "Oh, when do you think I've ever been at a Politicon? I've never been at a Politicon." We know, because you would have actually talked to someone who knows what they're fucking talking about. Instead, he went to go crash a and this is up on this channel. He went to go crash a panel that Cenk Uygur was at, and what he did was it's the funniest shit ever. All right, but not for like the recent Crowder ones. He stuffed like a t-shirt into a shirt to make him look fat, and waddled into the room going, I'm Cenk Uygur. You're dumb. I hate Sims. I hate Steven Crowder. He's bad. And that's it. And it goes on. It goes on like an Impractical Joker skit, but like Crowder was the one who was being forced to do the embarrassing shit. Like, it's so cringy. I couldn't finish it. And it goes on for like 4 minutes. The guy's like, and that's like the best comedy that he possibly has. Right? So, I mean, come on now.
He didn't know. See, the thing about that is he didn't know when to end it. Like, if he made a 1 minute appearance, crashed the event, and then bounced, that would have been okay. I mean, it still was cringeworthy. But the thing is that he doesn't have, like, he's not very self-aware. And Shark, you kind of helped me remember what I was going to say. So, like, his sycophants, they believe that Steven Crowder looks fine. But I mean, like, people who are neutral, who don't know who Ethan Klein or Sam Seder or Steven Crowder is, if they see this, like, there's no spinning this. Like, he looks like a coward. He looks like a pussy. And before we move on to the next segment, which we're going to let Joy jump in, and she's going to take control of the next segment, I just have a question for Dylan. Dylan, is it possible that you could possibly get our boy Steven Crowder on the Hippy Dippy Roundtable? Is that in the works?
Not that. There is something else possibly in the works with Steven Crowder, but I don't want to say anything at this point. What I will say is this. This is the most hurt he's been since he was clocked by that union protester in 2011 after he shoved him to the ground. And not only that, but the thing is with Steven is he made this thing of like, well, he's a 1 million Andy and I'm so much bigger. I'm 5 million Andy. He debated like Jeff Holiday when he was like 100K, went about how Steven Crowder tried to downplay how hurtful AIDS was to the United States and different communities. If he's willing to debate him on something as ridiculous as that, then why can't he talk to Sam about like the CDC or what a Politicon? At one time, Gavin McInnes, and as somebody who's had to deal with the Proud Boys coming into my community and burning the property of black churches, I'm no fan of Gavin McInnes of the Proud Boys. Gavin McInnes made an offer to Sam Seder to come on his show. Sam wasn't interested, but then he said, hey, I can get Steven Crowder. And then Steven Crowder just turned it down. He's had multiple opportunities. And one time he backed out. The second time he turned it down, even though the platform itself would have been Gavin McInnes' show, not like it was going to benefit Sam Seder. And if he really is such a small Andy, why was he literally spying on his show the week before, watching it, monitoring it? Because then when it went down, he cancels. And then next week, after he pre-recorded it, because Sam is big brain, then he comes on and does the show. If you think someone is such a small creator that they can't even be bothered, Sam who is what he said, then why were you like basically spying on the program?
Also, wait, can I just say one thing?
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
we're moving to the next topic very soon, but there was also someone that like pointed it out. Like he makes like this after he says like, "Oh, what a surprise" or whatever. He makes this visual like or like this like this like physical cue, and his like lackey starts like walking over to the chair.
Right, leprechaun.
It's because when I watched it the first time, I for some reason thought he was already sitting there, but then when you watch it the second time, you literally watch him get into position, and it's so embarrassing. I
couldn't even have the camera on him for 3 minutes. The camera was off him. I can only imagine he was over there just like It's live. He's live on the show. It's just,
I'm like 90%. So what he does before the show is that what he tells his lackeys to do the sound check. He goes to sit in another chair and he opens his phone and he's watching his phone the entire time. I'm 100% sure he's watching Sam's show to make sure that he's going live. And the second he did, he's like, oh, God, he's live. All right, and then he gets out. And then he gets on. Yeah, he's a oh my gosh.
He doesn't know who Sam is yet. He also had his whole apparently his comedy career in his back pocket, ready to run through his stand-up material. And you know, he like you said, monitored his phone. And also, I enjoy it. I think Sam mentioned it on the show today, and he enjoys it now too. How Crowder mentioned how Rogan won't have Sam on, and the Weinsteins won't have Sam on, and Sam Harris won't talk to him. And it's like, okay, you and Tim Pool on one of his when he discussed it on his show yesterday, he mentioned vaguely how he knows of major podcasts that have blacklisted Sam, and it's like, again, you're just outing these guys for being scared of Sam. Like, thank you.
You think I'm a coward?
Also, you're like keeping track of like all of the things Sam related. Like, oh God.
Why?
And the saddest thing is like there was a very key part of his argument that was like, well, my viewers wouldn't even want to see you, Sam. And like I watched a little bit of the stream from the Majority Report, like after that whole shebang the next day, and there was like a caller who came in. And he was talking with like a really heavy Southern accent. He's like, I'm a Crowder fan. I got his mug. Love this guy. But, you know, I'm going to be honest. I didn't know who you were, Sam. But to be completely honest, I would have wanted to see the debate. I'm actually sad you guys didn't get to talk. I don't know anything about you. You know, you're not going to change my opinion probably because of how much I already like Steven Crowder. But I wanted to see the conversation. And this guy was like, this guy was like the epitome of like Steven Crowder's audience. And like Steven Crowder's whole argument is like, no one would want to see you. It's like,
right. Well, here's the thing, and you know, I've heard this from people when I was a regular producer there, and I hear it from my show now because on my show I usually cover, you know, right-wing movements and you know, conspiracy theories on the right, and people reach out to us and say, you know, we found your videos. We were a Crowder fan, Tim Pool fan, Ben Shapiro fan, whatever. I mean, people were tweeting it out today to explain why it was so important. Like, this isn't just like YouTube drama. People see this stuff, and you know, a lot of people don't have their ideology set out in the same way that, you know, all the people on this show probably do. People just come across these big right-wing channels because they're really big and popular, and they watch it and they enjoy it, and they don't get to see anything else. They don't get to see the other side. Unfortunately, there aren't that many big leftist channels because, to be fair, the outrage machine sells a lot more on the right, and that's not really a thing on the left. And, you know, but when people do come across it, and they've said it to Sam, you know, you've pulled me out of this stuff, and now I'm a left winger, or, you know, it's not you solely, like you helped show me other YouTubers. Now I watch Vosh, or I watch Kyle Kulinski, or I watch The Humanist Report, and, you know, now I'm in this world instead of that world, and things make a lot more sense.
The last thing I'll say about Cower with Crowder is that why would he go after his comedy career? That seems like a weak point for him to start off of, considering that Crowder is literally a failed comedian, while Sam is a voice on Bob's Burgers.
No self-awareness.
MSNBC correspondent, Bob's Burgers voice actor, and Crowder like dropped his comedy career because he got clowned on by Amy Schumer. Like,
Amy Schumer.
Yes, Amy Schumer.
Like, Amy Schumer isn't even like the beacon of like comedy either. She's like been outed multiple times for stealing jokes, and this is who defeats you? Like, oh man.
And then he's just out of the game.
Denims, you said something that was funny to me. You said that like, oh, the second time I watched it, because you implied that you did like what I did, that like I picked this fucker apart like 3 different times, like frame by frame, like.
So I watched it a first time, and then I saw Crowder went live, and he watched it, and then I saw Sam went live, the Majority Report went live, and then I ended up watching it a third time on my stream. It was just like aligned perfectly with my schedule, and I was like, I guess we're watching this again.
Yep. Sorry, Matt, I'll let you get the last word on this, because this is kind of like this is your territory, because you're on Majority Report, so I'll let you close this out.
I was just going to say, to be fair to Crowder's career, He was a voice on the hit children's show Arthur.
Oh, right.
Wait, who was he?
Brain.
Yeah, he's Brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And also, interestingly enough,
how do you even peak after that? That was like his peak.
Interestingly enough, too, I don't know if this is why he kept mentioning Velveteen Rabbit Eyes, but someone pointed out to me on his IMDb profile, in 2009, he played a small role in literally the movie Velveteen Rabbit. I don't know. Really weird. What a full circle that would be, right?
Jeez, I'm going to have to do even more research. I feel like this conversation is going to make me go further down the rabbit hole. Okay, so let's go on to the next segment. So coming up, we have a really big event. This is the Medicare for All March taking place on July 24th. So there's going to be marches across the country. Hopefully the locations are popping up, but I'll try to bring it up. Joy, can you tell us what is going on here, where it's happening, and how we can get involved and take place?
Yeah, so we started with one march in DC, and now we are at 28 marches nationally, with more being added. You can find the locations at m4m4all.org. I'll be the MC at the DC one. Our keynote is Marianne Williamson. We have Lee Camp. We have Margaret Flowers. We have a bunch of cool people. LA, Ron Placone, Graham Elwood will be in Hawaii. So we have incredible, maybe a girl is the MC in LA. So we have incredible people coming out to support this. It's actually 1 month from tomorrow, July 24th. So I'm actually helping organize all of them. So I'm kind of going bananas, but
that's a lot of work.
It is, but it's very rewarding. It's the I've organized probably over 30, actions in the past 6 years, but this is my first event I'm doing since I went blind. So this is very special to me, and it's like I get to prove to myself I can still do this. Like I can still actually contribute to and do what I want to do. So yeah, July 24th, we have so many locations. And then our Twitter is at M4M4ALL.
That's incredible. And I have the locations on the screen here. I believe that this is not the updated list. The link didn't work for me there. But so the website is m4m4all.org, something that I think is really, really cool. I love that this is taking place. And I feel kind of like since it's happening in July, which is my birthday month, people are trying to fight for Medicare for All as my birthday present, which would be really great. So if you want to get involved,
it's actually Medicare's birthday as well.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, they're a little bit older than I am. Medicare is older than I am. Yeah. And just to like kind of add to this, so before the pandemic, there was a study that came out, I think it was from Princeton University, I'm not entirely sure, but it showed that 68,000 people per year were dying because they didn't have health care. And I don't necessarily know if they're disaggregating like between people who just don't have insurance or people who had insurance, but they were underinsured. And so now after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, I should say, I can't imagine how much worse it's gotten. And I've spoken about this before as well on Twitter, that after my dad died, I don't know if my mom's gotten one lately, but she'll receive these bills for like ambulance rides, for hospital stays for my dad after he's been dead over a year. And it's so like the system in America is so bizarre the way it's set up.
It's violent.
It's literally violent. And I also want to point everyone to a video from the New York Times. Talked about this on the Humanist Report, actually, where they basically talked to folks from Canada, from Australia, and it was maddening to see their reactions to how dysfunctional the American healthcare system is. And so since we have this topic up, does anyone have like a crazy healthcare story? Because one thing that I say on my show is, look, basically, if you live in America and if you've had to sign up for insurance, you have some sort of a story about how confusing it is, how difficult it is to navigate the system, going through. So I have Obamacare, right? Not necessarily the best in the world. I think I just signed up for the cheapest bronze plan that I can find. But when you look at all of the plans, it's extremely confusing. even though you make your monthly payment, it doesn't cover everything. So you're spending thousands of dollars. And I mean, I feel like Medicare for all, it's a no-brainer at this point. And Jen from I'm blanking on the name of her show, so I'm so sorry, Jen. I want to give you a shout out, but I forgot your show's name. But she basically said, look, at this point, if you don't support Medicare for all, I put you in the same category as like the flat earthers. Like, that's how crazy you are, because there's no debate at this point. Like, it's cheaper overall. It reduces net healthcare spending. It saves lives. Generational change. I don't know why that was so difficult, Jen. I'm so sorry. But I love the point that she made there. It's you're like in the same category as flat earthers. And this is kind of where I'm at. So does anyone want to share like a healthcare story that they have? I know that Joy, you have a bunch with injections in your eyes. Like you shared, what is it, $12,000 per eye?
Per eye every 30 days. Yeah, so I just started going blind last year. So all of it was unpredictable, and I just woke up one day without most of my sight, and it's super rare. And I was 40 at the time. And so insurance companies were like, we're not paying for it. It's rare. And it's like, yeah, I'm totally making it up. I said to my doctor, is this some kind of kink I don't know about? Like, people actually ask to get injections in their eye because, they were refusing to pay for it. And I mean, it's just, so you're going through this trauma of becoming disabled unexpectedly and having your entire life just completely changed. I have a cane, there's no driving, I can't watch movies, I don't even know how I do half the shit I do. But so on top of that, it's exacerbated by calling about pre-authorizations and my surgeries and all of those things, and just spending hours and hours every day on the phone trying to get things covered. So it really is a hostage situation where it's like, you have like a real little bit of sight left, but we're just kind of going to let that go too, unless you can pay, XYZ. And thankfully, the lovely Marianne Williamson, Mike, and Ron Placone, you guys did a fundraiser for me. How I would have gotten through it, I just don't know. And I had to get all blind accessibility equipment and everything. And it's like, Medicare for all would have changed my life. And, I'm sure you'll love this a lot, Matt. But I was the disabled speaker on Force the Vote. And after I gave my speech, and I shared, I said disabled for the first time, and I went public for the first time, I received hundreds of messages from people all over the world just saying, thank you for sharing your story, and this is mine. And I also heard from people in Sweden who get the same damn eye injections for $0. So it was heartwarming to hear from all those people, but it was also like, why the fuck isn't it this easy for like us? But and I digress a bit, but one of our speakers in DC, Dr. Joe Jarvis, he is a conservative. He is speaking. Yeah, he's speaking on behalf of Medicare for all. So if that's not the epitome of how, it's not just a leftist thing, like, doctors want it as well, so it's pretty amazing to see, we have every kind of person speaking at our event. It's nonpartisan. And because of that, we are meeting a lot of Republicans who are totally in favor, because we do see people vote against their best interests quite often. But I think that with, it being talked about more and more, I think that people realize, like, I never needed Medicare for all. I supported it. I fought for it, but I never needed it until last year. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that's dystopian in itself, but like, you don't know if you're going to need it or if someone you love is going to need it.
Well, and I'll just say, to your point about Republicans, it's really interesting. So I shared the story on Twitter. It was in 2020. So my mom convinced a Trump supporter to back Bernie Sanders during the primary, and Medicare for All was the issue that she used. So I think that this is like a really interesting gateway into the left, for lack of a better word, right? It sounds nefarious, but like back in 2017, when I was talking about net neutrality quite a bit, I still have a lot of people till this day say, look, I was actually more conservative when I found your channel when you were talking about net neutrality, but I kind of stayed and started to watch some of your other videos, and now I consider myself like a socialist. One person said, oh, now I'm a communist. So they like flew right past me. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's so cool. So I feel like Medicare for All is another issue where there's a lot of opportunities there. And Joy, something you touched on inadvertently, like it infuriated me because you talked about the fundraiser that you did. It's like we shouldn't have to do fundraisers for healthcare for people. And like we all know someone who's had this. So it's just, it is, I think you put it best, it's dystopian. But before we move on, I just want to send a shout out to the Cavernacle here, who's in the chat. And he's from the UK. And
yes,
yeah,
I've had him.
He has some experience with universal healthcare. And you know, I've spoken with the Cavernacle, and it's not very scary. So
could I, but before we move on, could I touch on one
absolutely
thing? Sure. So you asked if anybody had any like bad healthcare stories, and I do actually. This one's a little bit sad, but stick with me, okay?
Okay.
So my dad's side of the family, lots of them are in Georgia. My family's originally from New York, but lots of them are in Georgia. My aunt and my grandma lived in the same home. It was like a really small duplex. It wasn't the best place. They lived there for a really long time. I think as long as I've been around, and I'm 22 now, so quite some time. My grandma passed away, and we brought my aunt to live with us for some time. She had some health issues, but the thing is, she never got it touched on because she couldn't afford the health care. That, and even if she did have the health care, like you said, they wouldn't pay for everything. So she was scared of if something came up, if she ever knew about something, she'd worry about it. She was a very worrisome person. She'd worry about it more, and it made the healthcare worse. So just kind of imagine that it doesn't exist until it caught up with us. So we brought it to the house and everything, and we were finally getting her set up on healthcare, finally getting like everything set up. And she was going on for her first doctor's visit, first medical checkup in her adult life that Monday, but the weekend before she passed away. So
sorry.
Thank you. You know, it happens. So our healthcare system is absolutely like abominable. I have to say so. That's one of the big reasons that got me into politics in the first place and got me into having healthcare be my like big issue. It's it touches a lot of people, and I do think like healthcare is like really one of those big things. Like for me being in Kentucky, okay, not only on specifically the marches, I was able to go to the 1-year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's killing in Louisville, and it was an amazing time. Listen, all right, if you're lonely, a march is a great place to go. I met a really cute girl, really nice.
Hey.
And yeah, and you get to show out. I got to speak to her aunt and everything, and her mom, great people. So you get to do something that's good. You get to go outside, great, touch grass. I did it. I just really think that it'd be great for everyone to sort of get together behind a movement. And I live right next to West Virginia. One of my friends is actually from West Virginia, and his family is experiencing all the problems that come up with black lung and everything there, like the worst air ever, people just keeling over because of, you know, all of the problems with the air pollution there. I think that's one of the really big things that can get people moving, something that really affects them, especially a lot of people in coal country, oil country. Those people get really messed up.
Yeah.
And speaking of that as well, there's this place called Libby, Montana. And when Lee Camp was on my show last time, we were talking about it. It is a place that, because of things that were in the air, it was making people sick. And they enacted immediate Medicare for all for this town, Libby, Montana. And at that point, everyone got 100% coverage. And if you look at the legislation, it does not say Libby, Montana in it. So that's one of our demands at the march, to enact Libby, Montana. They can enact it for literally our entire country just on that one statute.
I mean, we saw actually a nationwide version of that actually with the COVID vaccine. You can get that free of charge.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's, I was honestly, like, because we live in the United States, I was actually a little bit worried because I don't know about you all, but they did ask for my insurance card. And thankfully I do have my Obamacare. But it's like, okay, when's the bill coming? Like, I know I'm going to get something in the mail, because it's like, it's traumatizing, like, to have any experience with healthcare. It's like, you expect the worst automatically. You think, oh God, I have like this, and maybe it's because I'm a hypochondriac, so I'm not necessarily the best gauge for this, but when I think, oh God, I'm sick, if this is something wrong, then is this going to be the thing that like bankrupts me? And it's such a twisted thing. Like, if you're sick, you should be worrying about getting better, not like how you're going to pay for this, not if your family is going to be okay or bankrupted. As was the case with my dad, with my mom receiving medical bills. It's like, she should be grieving, not thinking about, oh my God, am I going to get sued for this? And we still don't know. It's like, when you get a medical bill, it's not $20, it's like thousands. Did you want to say something, Denims?
Yeah, I wanted to say, and like, I don't think it's not that people don't recognize, but I think we forget the amount of like trauma that comes with getting hospitalized for any reason or having to go to the doctor for any reason. I have like a close relative of mine who got cancer, and luckily they had Medicare. So they got to go to a doctor. They were worried that they did. They caught it a little bit earlier, and they are doing well now. They're doing great. They, survived and everything's great. And they don't ever have to worry about the stress of having to pay back literally hundreds of thousands of dollars back into this. And I obviously repeatedly spoke to them when they were sick. And that is like the toll it takes on you. The idea that we have to have people go through physical pain, like in this case, it would have been chemo, then go through the mental toll of being like, how the fuck am I going to pay for this? And then also the mental, just like the stress of just the mental burden that it is of just feeling sick. Like I'm sure everyone here knows about like the theory of like spoons. When you're physically sick, you just don't have energy to do things. Your energy is so limited. And like, we look at all this and we're like, yeah, we need to make sure these people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, despite the fact that we don't have to make them pay this. Like, it's just depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know who Wendell Potter is, but Thursday I was very fortunate to be interviewed for a Medicare for All documentary, and it's coming out in January. A Los Angeles filmmaker, Kenny Ballantyne, and Wendell Potter was interviewed as well. So I got to watch his interview, and he was the vice president of Cigna, and he became a whistleblower, and he's fucking amazing. He's such a badass. Like, he came out with tons of documentation, everything you can think of. He's testified in court numerous times in the Supreme Court. Like, he is the best kind of ally, because what happened was he met someone who lost their daughter because of one of his proposals to not cover her. She was 17 and she had cancer. And because of something he said and he did, she died. And it was at that moment he became a whistleblower and said, fuck this, like, I'm out. So definitely check him out, Wendell Potter. He's a fucking hero.
Yeah, I've done segments on his Twitter threads. And since we're talking about losses from healthcare, I just want to point everyone to Amy Valilla's political campaign. She's running for Congress again, and basically she became a Medicare for All activist because her daughter Shalyn died because she didn't have healthcare. So this, I mean, in some way, I feel like everyone has been affected by this, either directly or indirectly. So thank you so much for organizing this, Joy. Once again, this is July 24th. The website is Medicare for All.
M4M4all.org. And Amy Bilala will be speaking at our Vegas one.
Hey, there you go. There you go. So thank you so much, Joy, for giving us that information. Okay, so folks, I prepared way too much, so we're not going to get to everything. But I do want to get to the things that we definitely have to get to before we leave. So here's what I want to do. Every single week on this program, I really want to take the time to use my platform to showcase another creator, sometimes smaller, sometimes pretty big. But basically, I want to make sure that there's solidarity in this movement. And the way that the right like kind of cross-pollinates and speaks with each other and promotes each other, I want to try to facilitate that. And so this week, I have a creator that I want to feature that I just found out about recently. His content is incredibly entertaining. He's very sharp. I'm going to now showcase his video where he makes his case. And let's take a look.
Dystopian times.
All right, so first off, I just want to give a huge thank you to Mike for giving me the platform to shamelessly promote my own content. I think that if leftist media is going to seriously compete with corporate giants, then we're going to need to be constantly engaging in acts of solidarity within each other's communities so that we can effectively build this as a collective project. But with that being said, hi, my name is Mac. I go by Good Politic Guy, mainly on Twitter and YouTube for now, but also soon to be on Twitch, where I'm going to be doing weekend live streams where I game and rant about politics with you guys. But for now, you can find me on my YouTube channel where I upload every single weekday, multiple times a day, where I'm basically just covering the current events, the breaking news of that day from an anti-imperialist and an anti-capitalist perspective. So on any given day, we could be talking about everything from AOC and the squad's strategies that they are deploying or failing to deploy in Congress, to CIA attempts to infiltrate and overthrow governments in South and Central America, to even UFO stories occasionally, and really everything in between. Now, the reasons I originally got into political commentary in the first place are really twofold. One, because I didn't want to keep bombarding my friends and family with my endless frustrations with American politics, and so I figured, why not upload these takes online and bother you guys with them instead? And two, because I believe that corporate media is indistinguishable from state media when corporations control the state. And what I mean by that is, in the United States, our free press, or supposed free press, is utterly failing to do their job of accurately and adequately informing the American people by holding the government accountable and being that check that in a functioning democracy a free press would provide. And with the mainstream media outlets preferring to cozy up to the establishments of the Republican and Democratic parties, I think there's a serious lack of voices out there that are willing to call out the endless militarism, the endless corruption, and preference for the status quo that even the supposed left half of our corporate duopoly is preserving.
Well, I thank you for your question, but I have to say we're capitalist, and that's just the way it is.
And unlike these corporate outlets that pretend to be some perfectly neutral arbiters of truth, as they are actually limiting the scope of debate within the confines of whatever their government agency friends or corporate overlords deem is acceptable, I do not hide my own biases, and so I try to give upfront, clear, honest, and concise analyses with the intention of informing people as to the destructive nature of our global capitalist system, as well as how we can move towards a more sustainable, free, and democratic society. So if any of that seems like it would be appealing to you, then go ahead and check me out at youtube.com/goodpolitic guy, and I appreciate the support.
Well, that is Mac, Good Politic Guy. Everyone, there's going to be links in the description box. Please go subscribe to him. So he is about to hit 6,000 subs. I think we can get him to 10K by the end of July. I think that that's certainly possible. And hey, if you are starting out, it's really hard nowadays to get your foot in the door. But here's what you can do. You can email me, mike@humanismreport.com, and I want you in the subject line, put in DT, Dystopian Times, _submission in all caps, and then colon, and then your name. And so I'm anticipating a lot of submissions. I can only do one per week. But having said that, though, if you record a 2 to 3 minute video, provide me with your links. I will look into featuring you on this program, because I want to make sure that we are helping other folks who are just starting out. And by the way, Mac will be on the panel next week. So if you discover his content and you like him, He's going to be on Dystopian Times with some really fantastic guests. So far, I have confirmed Isaiah James, who's running for Congress, Lance from the Surfs, and David Dole. Now, there's some other people that I'm speaking with, so the panel might be bigger than that. Having said that, though, please consider supporting smaller channels. Now, the last thing I want to do is okay. So we're running out of time, but I'm going to do it anyway. So okay. You guys all think that I'm weird because I said, send me pictures of your cats and dogs. And you're like, what the fuck does that like? So it's a segment so we can feature pets and cats of progressives, socialists, and communists. Because here's the thing, folks. As a content creator myself, and I'm sure everyone on this panel can say the same thing, it is very overwhelming, downright depressing sometimes. It just really depends on the news week. So you have to find ways to disengage. And my way of getting my mind off of politics is to play video games. I also love animals. So having said that, though, this is my new segment, and it's a mouthful. I haven't memorized it yet, but nonetheless, here we go. That's right, folks. It is let's pretend like the world isn't ending for a second by distracting ourselves with pictures of cute dogs and cats. I think I still fucked up the name, but the segment's a little bit long. So having said that, let's look at some adorable pictures that were submitted to me. So
guess who it is? Like, guess who the mom or dad is?
Say that again.
Like, I want to look at them and be like, that looks like it's sharks or something like that.
Okay, so people are a little bit weirded out because what is like why do you want to see pictures of my cats and dogs? So I submitted my own picture and somebody left a comment that triggered me. So this is me and my cat. I'm reading her the Bernie Sanders book. She she's into this. I've read her Marx before, all 3 volumes of Capital. But the comment was a little bit disparaging of my greasy forehead. Let me see. So, so this is an adorable pit bull picture. We'll look at that. Unnaturally shiny head. So I don't know if that's me. They're objectively true, right? But or are you talking
about a very
about
shiny head?
It's like, it is okay. I get the shine, but I mean, I'm look, folks. I'm trying to create this segment where we look at cat and dog pictures, and you motherfuckers are talking about my greasy forehead.
Look,
what does it mean, like unnaturally? Like, so you like
Joy? I do know what they mean.
Maybe what the people really want is a segment that's like foreheads of the left or something like that.
Yeah, pictures of our foreheads.
It's a beautiful picture.
Look, you can't blame anyone else because you decided to wax your forehead, okay?
Sorry, buddy. You buffed that shit out before.
Yeah, that was.
I shouldn't admit
well,
this.
Everyone knows you definitely moisturize, which is good.
I do moisturize. I got an ad. Okay, this is how I know that targeted ads are like a real thing and they listen to your voice. So I was talking about my greasy forehead, and then I see an ad on TikTok for like these wipes you can get, and I did get the wipes. I swear to God, marketing works, and I feel like it is actually working a little bit. But I mean, my face is still look. It's a work in progress. But having said that, I was trying to make this a really adorable segment, and I feel like there's some good submissions. So a false era submitted a picture of this baby pit bull.
Oh.
So really, really sweet. And then I believe there's some additional pictures. Lots of cat submissions. So we have Pickles. She's an old lady. Absolutely adorable. Love Pickles. Lee Drake sends in my dog Balto, not knowing how to play correctly, so he just snarls. Absolutely adorable. Love the red eye. We have Charlie and Poncho waiting on their margarita order. I mean, these are some bougie dogs, and I love it. They're adorable. Milo's human, my favorite dogs from working in boarding. I mean, look at that smile, folks. Like, baby. I'm already feeling better about the fact that, we have 10 years to save the planet. I don't know about you all. So we have puppies here.
Hey, Mike, I hate to break this to you, but dogs don't smile like humans do.
Why are you ruining our
That's untrue.
dreams?
Yeah.
Matt, come on, man. Matt, really?
That dog is gasping for air. Actually,
That dog is smiling.
It's just so
That dog
Actually,
is
I
smiling.
He's happy, bro.
guys, and I'm pretty sure that dog has clinical depression. I mean, it.
Oh my God, you get this is why we
dog
can't
is panting. He might be overheating. Actually,
You know what?
We told the dog
He's
about
having
climate
fun.
change.
Okay.
Okay, don't ruin this for me. God damn it. Okay. All right, I'll get in on this. Take a look at this old baby. The old ones are so cute. Like, I love puppies, but the older ones are just so sweet.
Big rat.
We have a snake. I am scared of snakes, but this is, thank you for sharing.
I mean, it may have just eaten a cat, so.
Awesome. Oh my God, folks. Wow. Really shark. No, okay. We have this one. I mean, the face, really, really adorable.
is that dog holding a sex toy? What is that?
That's a bone.
Mad.
Oh
Yeah, can I show that on
Well,
Twitch?
If it was
Am
a
I trying
dog
to
sex
get banned?
toy, it would be that color, right?
Okay, I actually have an answer to this. So,
It would be that color. Yeah.
I thought it was too.
God damn it.
Bruno got a hold of my bad
Definitely.
dragon. Whoops.
Okay, listen. Okay, I have two dogs, and these are actually Benabones, and they all tend to kind of look phallic, and they have like ball ends. But the dogs, I swear to God, they love them. It's something about them, the way that they flavor them. But yes, I will admit that they do kind of look like sex toys, and
it is
I do
Friday.
clean them. I clean them up before we have company because I don't want people to think that I'm like this weirdo. Darwin.
They're allowed to like them. It's Pride Month.
That's
That
true.
is true. We can do what we want. Darwin on a counter.
That cat's seen shit.
That cat is fucking sick. Oh my God.
Like in a good, like look at how beautiful.
Like in a good way.
right?
It's the ear.
The
Yeah,
ear.
it's like,
Yeah.
That cat looks like it knows so much, dude.
It looks like a supervillain's cat.
It's gonna give me a quest.
I love
Uh-huh.
it. It's gonna give you a quest. We have oh, this is Shark.
Yeah, you asked for submission, so I decided to submit.
Thank you.
This is Shady, Ruby, and Boo. We love them.
Oh, okay. I saw your dogs on stream, so I was hoping that we get to see more. Adorable, love it.
So,
And I
Shark,
have
you're a dog
3
owner?
I have 3 pets. So I'll do one
no,
per week.
They own me, but yeah, I have dogs.
Ah, typical.
Yeah, I know
Okay,
you
we
that,
have-
that you
Mm,
awful
mm.
takes on dogs, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't like dogs. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Should
Wow.
be sorry.
Lessons in
Absolutely
fighting yet again.
perfection. Look at that little face. Look at this dude.
I love the cat. Oh my god.
Look at that dude.
Chunky.
Yeah, Gizmo and Harley. I mean, look, folks, this really does help me to cope. Like, this is dystopian copium.
Does that dog? Could you go back to that dog with the cat?
Dog with the cat. Is that
Yeah, the one, the dog picture though? That one right there. Can you click that? Is that the Bolton flag from Game of Thrones on the wall back there?
It is.
Does that dog flay people alive? Is that what we're trying to?
Possibly.
Is that what we're going for here?
Send a dog to Geneva.
Possibly. He wouldn't. This is a good boy or good girl. He'd never do anything like that. Okay, so we saw this one. We have some. Okay, good. They copy and pasted. So socialist dog mom. We have some adorable dogs. Okay, a lot more submissions than I thought. So I'll try to go through these a little bit quicker. Absolutely phenomenal pose. Like when I try to take a picture of my cat, she like whacks her head against my phone and like rubs her teeth on it. So your animals are very photogenic. Absolutely precious. I mean, how could you not like love it? Look at this. This looks like my auntie's dog, actually. She has a wiener dog that's long haired too. We have adorable kitties. Beautiful. This is, I mean, how could you not love that? The blur, like, that's just perfect right there.
Yeah, I like how that person was definitely like, let me send this person the worst possible photo of my cat. I mean, decisions.
That's like the pictures your parents post of you on their Facebook, you know? Just
Right,
absolutely the worst possible
Right.
ones.
Your tagged images. You know, on Facebook where you get the really bad tagged images of yourself where
Oh, yeah.
you like, where your forehead is shiny. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
So lots and lots. So we have Cian and Petitas, Tiny Paws in Portuguese, Gibbs, Emmy. I mean, look at that face, Jesus. I responded to that one. Oh my God. Thales or Tails.
That's an Instagram cat. Look at that filter.
That's actually, it does look really like professional looking. We have Freya grooming her sister Lilith. That's really sweet. Okay, my baby girl Buttercup dabs. So she is dabbing. Okay, it's not part of her name. Everyone's arguing for non-God. Love that. Okay, so Jamie here explains he stopped barking, biting, licking his ass and dick to look like this. Well, thank you so much for stopping all of that for the picture. Very, very cute, my guy. Okay, offensive. I don't know how this is offensive, Twitter, but we have this little guy, super tiny. Looks like he could fit in a little purse, and you can carry him around. Very cute. Oh, I need to go back. We have from Young Crumb, very pretty. I mean, folks, you have really beautiful pets. So that's everything. So, folks, look, we have approached the end of the show, and we'll end it right here. But before we go, once again, thank you all so much to the panelists for being here. A shout out to my mods, Mr. Anderson Says and Sekmara. Thank you so much for moderating the chat. Thank you to anyone who sent in Patreons. I'll look at those in a bit here. But before we go, I want to allow my guests the chance, one by one, to plug their channels. And absolutely everyone, if you're watching, you have to go support them. It's required. Okay, so we will start with Matt.
Oh, sure. Yes, that's right. I host a show called Doomed with Matt Binder. Covers, it's a leftist show, but we cover the focus on the far right, conspiracy theories, misinformation, internet culture, all that fun stuff. It's live usually every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes I do different days, but usually Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And it will be live tomorrow, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time at youtube.com/Matt Binder. Also, if you rather listen to the podcast version than watch the video version, the live stream version, you can go to doomedcast.com and subscribe there. Also, I'm on the Majority Port Fun Half every Thursday. That's tomorrow as well. Fun Half usually starts at 1 p.m., but tune in for the whole show. It starts at 12 noon. And that's everything I'll be promoting right now. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Oh, and follow me on Twitter at Matt Binder. Thanks for having me on, Mike. And very great time with you guys all. Joy, Shark, Dylan, and Denims.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Matt. All right. So, Dylan, tell the people where you're at and how we can support you, all of that good stuff.
First, I want to say it's disgusting that Matt would tell people to follow him and he isn't following me. So I'm sorry.
Matt.
That's pretty offensive, actually. Homophobic.
I hate that. I think I don't even follow Mike, to be honest, on Twitter. Sorry, buddy.
Matt.
Wow, so you're just not following gay creators. Okay, yeah, we get it.
During Pride Month.
During Pride.
I actually just realized because I went to his when I was DMing him, I was like, wait a minute. So I'm gonna fix that one immediately. But I'm sorry, Dylan. I think
because what I do is people who I think I'm following.
Because I have lists that I also look at, so I don't usually just see my straight up feed.
Yeah.
So if there's like a list of like my like leftist YouTuber list that I
binder?
watch.
I'm sorry.
Oh
Good
yes, my
one.
binder of
Good
my binder of Twitter lists, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's what happened. I think. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Dylan.
Besides the homophobia, you can find me on, I don't know, Ted Cruz podcast, twitch.tv/Hasanabi. You can find me at either of those places or in Bosnia, like doing weapons deals. But if you don't find me at any of those locations, you can also find me at twitch.tv/DylanBurnsTV or at YouTube at DylanBurnsTV, which is DylanBurns TV. You can also follow me on Twitter at DylanBurns1776 because I love my fucking country.
All right. And Denims.
Yes, hello. I do Hopium streams every single day on Twitch at 6 a.m. PST, twitch.tv/denims. I also upload spicy content from those streams onto YouTube, youtube.com/DenimsTV. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. And Shark.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Shark. Once again, that's the word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. We're right now, the biggest thing that I probably have going on is that I'm trying to start a leftist, feminist men's rights series. I would like to get that started where we can talk about building relationships, what it means to be a guy. Like I feel like masculinity has been like kind of in flux. I'd really like to have people find their footing in whatever they feel fulfilled in the gender of man. And I feel like it is it's going well so far. I have a lot of things put together. So if you want to see that, you can check us out on Twitch and YouTube. And I know Denims, all right? We already talked about Matt. All right, we already know that he's homophobic. He's also racist since he doesn't follow me. You as well. You are racist. You don't follow me. I mean,
Matt getting called out.
We all know that Black History Month comes around like once a year. You missed the last February, okay? You have a deadline to follow me on Twitter, or else, I mean, I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry.
First of all, bold claim coming from someone who isn't following me. For starters,
you don't know that. You don't know that's true.
I literally just opened it. I have the receipts. Second of all, I am actually. It's very bold of you to say that I am racist when I am African American. Okay, buddy. So buckle it back a little bit. Yes, I'm North African. Technically, that's considered white. Arab American, not the same thing. But I will claim this card to protect myself from the racism card. Okay. So
trap card there.
Check yourself.
Okay,
We're getting the cards and then the Uno reverse
when
card
I was with Denims, everybody knows I was at Denim's place when I was in LA, and every time she would shake my hand, she would get hand sanitizer and go like, "Ugh, queer," and I was like, "Whoa, whoa!"
I did not do that.
You did it every time.
You're the one who compared this to a hate symbol. Okay?
Well, why? I don't know why you have you have sound foam to say for swastika on your wall. It's very obvious. Listen, I don't know why you did that.
Listen, Dylan. We're
you see how hard she tried to separate herself from sub-Saharan Africa?
Sorry, I'm looking at the comment on the screen right now, and that's just too funny.
Yeah,
like
Thomas is calling. You're all calling each other out. Thomas says, "Fuck y'all for calling my dog's bone a sex toy." Thank you, Thomas. I have these as well for my dogs. They're not sex toys. Thank you, Thomas.
I hear
I'm just being a compliment.
I was gonna let it slide, but I was gonna let it slide, but being that I got burned, I gotta say, Shark. The podcast idea about masculinity sounds great, but probably should go with something other than the term men's rights to describe it as.
Listen, okay, we're baiting.
Squad W.
But it's a very good concept.
They're gonna bite. Okay, the hook's in there, and I'm ready. All right,
that is actually good bait. Because when you say men's rights, it's like, wait, Shark, what you're talking about? And then it's like, oh, okay, so this is actually more in depth and it's nuanced. It's interesting.
It's a whole analysis. Okay, we do a little thing. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty rare on the internet. It's called nuanced. Probably never heard of it.
Okay.
It's pretty underground, honestly.
I've never heard that word before, Shark.
Yeah, I know, pretty crazy. Yeah,
I
actually
on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, but we're doing that. We do edited content as well on like internet news. I kind of want to make with more of the edited content. I kind of want to make politics a little less political, kind of couch it in some fun stuff that we may like. But we also do more overtly political content where we talk about workers, the world, things that you could be doing in your own local area, and that's about it for me. Oh yeah, also Vosh stole my shtick. It was pretty fucked up from to steal the whole like stream.
What did he do? What did he steal?
Segment. Oh, he stole the whole like stream segmented thing from me. We all know, Vosh, after the tactical N-word drop, he went on his whole like racist. I mean, he stole that from me too. It was pretty fucked up.
Wow.
If you
Vosh
canceled.
Vosh. Oh my
Come on,
god.
again,
We're canceling. Look, this was supposed to be like about
again.
solidarity, and you're all calling each other out. Like people are getting canceled on stream.
We're leftists. What else do we do?
Nobody hates leftists more than leftists. So
thank you so much for having me on the show. This was honestly really great. And even if I'm not on, I'll watch next week. Honestly,
that's all. Well, look, I hope that you all will come back at some point. But before we go, Savage Joy, don't forget to plug your book.
Oh, so yeah, you can get my parody book, Gas Queen Chronicles. The First Resistance Forum. I co-wrote it with Peter Douche, aka Nate's Liver, aka Pat the Burner. So it's a parody about shit libs. And if you want to learn more, you can go to savageandpat.com or check out the episode that when Nina Turner interviewed us about the book. And you can also find me at savagejoymarie1, and you can find me like on all over YouTube. If you just type Savage Joy, I come up.
Well, thank you all so much. Listen, I am huge fans of all of your content. You all are hilarious. You make me laugh, but also you teach me something. So thank you all so much for being here. It has been an absolute pleasure. Before we leave, and I kick everyone, and I go to the chat section and read through all the super chats and whatnot. Is there anything anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, your production value is like great. Like this is like really high quality stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Kidding.
Yeah, I was super
I've
surprised
heard of the
by
panel
everything.
before. It's a
Whole
lot of
song?
work. This is like this. Yeah, the sound, the clips, the segments, everything was really crisp.
That honestly
yeah, I'm
means
super
so
proud
much.
of you. Like we've been talking about this for years, and you were always like, "I don't know how all your shows are live," and like,
Right.
look at you. This was pretty damn good, Mike.
Well, thank you so much. Listen,
Seriously.
I all night was worried. I'm like, listen, I'm going to lose internet 5 minutes into the broadcast. That's going to happen. My laptop is going to crash. Something's going to go wrong. But I feel like it went pretty smoothly. I mean, you know.
It did.
So, yeah, thank you for saying that. That really means a lot because, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I want this to improve, you know, over time. Go ahead, Shark.
Oh yeah. Also, Crowder isn't the only one packing heat.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
That
look,
is-
look, Mike, when it comes to your show quality, look, as somebody who runs a rival roundtable, I will be slashing your tires. I'm not happy about how good the show was. Okay, I just want to let you know. Okay,
I didn't know it was like that. Goddamn.
Mhm.
Okay.
Leftist and fighting again.
Oh no, they're fighting.
Mhm.
I did
All right,
enjoy
fine.
the 80s like new wave. Like, I feel like I'm in like the Upside Down in Stranger Things or something.
Yeah, you know, shamelessly ripped off the theme from Far Cry Blood Dragon. Not that like they came up with the aesthetic, but I love the
No, they did.
aesthetic. And I'm probably going to be like bored with this in like a month or so. So if it changes to like something different, anime theme or whatever, that's possible. But for now, you know, we're rolling with this. And yeah, shout out to Tony Tig, who does the vocals,
Yay!
and Carl Casey
He's
of
playing
White Bat
our
Audio.
Los Angeles route.
Tony Tig is
Sorry.
great. Yeah, a lot of
Wanted to
time and
plug
effort
him.
went into this. So hopefully everyone appreciates this. And yeah, more to come again next week on Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST. I will have David Dole, Lance from the Surfs, Isaiah James, and Matt Good Politic Guy, and possibly some other individuals. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Dystopian Times.
Thank you.
Well, folks, thank you all so much. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I've kicked all of them out, and now it's just you and I. Let me go through and read any of the super chats that I may have missed. It looks like we have one from Sean, is Cubs fan one. Hi, Mike. Would you do a video on the police shooting of Lyndon Cameron? It happened last September, and David Dole talked about it. Cheers from Chicago. I will look into this. If David Dole talked about it, then what I'll do initially is share his content, share that video. But yeah, let me look into that. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. Alan Liu says, as Canadian myself, Stephen Crowder does not represent all Canadians. Canadians are, of course, polite. With every Canadian that I know, I would have to agree with that sentiment. Canadians seem pretty amazing. Ryan Chan says, progressives need to convince rural voters how Medicare for all will help them, especially when hospitals are closing in rural areas. Yes, I think that this is one of those issues where we really do have the upper hand. We really do have the opportunity to convert a lot of folks who are predisposed to be right wing, who are from rural areas and whatnot. Laud Davamas says, everyone needs to go support Rising Star Dylan Burns. Totally agree. Please support all of the panelists. Again, I am a fan of everyone who's on the panel. I love every single one of their content. Like, I watch their videos regularly. So to get to like hang out with them, like this felt like a hangout session. I mean, it cleanses the spirit. It's good for the soul. We have, okay, I'm going to butcher your name, but AKA Crouching Dragon with the $5 super chat. I don't see any text, but thank you so much. So, that's all the super chats. Let me go through here and we'll go through some regular comments here in the stream, non-super chats. Smorgasbord Rules says healthcare for all. Totally agree. Absolutely agree. Ryan Burchett says David Dole is actually really good. David Dole is incredible. I'm really excited to have him on next week. Love David Dole. Evan says, glad to see you trying something a bit different. Love your videos, PDX Solidarity. Hey, PDX Solidarity. Thank you so much. You know what? I really wanted to do a live show that wasn't just like an extension of the Humanist Report. Like, I wanted a live show where it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more casual, because some of the topics that I talk about on my program, they're genuinely depressing. And I think that to kind of like have fun, to have something that you can listen to in the background, where we're kind of just like shooting the shit at times, but then we also talk about some really substantive and dark things like climate change. I think it's, important. We have Tara saying, may I please be a mod on here too? Yes, Tara, absolutely. Let me, I forgot to make you a mod, Tara. I'm so sorry about that. You are now a mod, Tara. It's official. I totally forgot, Tara, so I really apologize for missing that last time. So again, thank you so much for our mods here. We have Mr. Anderson says, we have Winston. I think you're a mod on my Twitch chat. We have Sek Mara. We have Tara now. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. We have another super chat here from Ryan Burchett. Just wanted to super chat you for reading my comment. Well, hey, thank you so much. Look, I'm not going to force you to send money for me to read your comment, but I absolutely, like, if you go out of your way to do that, I will read that comment, because, I want to make sure that you at least get me to acknowledge it. Diodo Orion says, don't be depressed. PR said by the problems in the world. Talking about them as a way to solve them. That's exactly it. That's a really great way to put it. Totally agree. Totally agree. Yes, Winston is a mod on Twitch. Thank you, Winston. There's so many mods now that I have. You're all just, honestly, you're so incredible. I truly, like, this is what solidarity looks like. I truly appreciate all of you. Okay, let's see. I think that we're going to wrap up because we don't have too much more comments. I believe I read all these super chats. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's it, folks. I think that's it. Oh, Ashley Luna, another mod on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashley. Love you all. Best mod team ever. Yes, Mr. Anderson. You all are incredible. Well, folks, I have had so much fun. Thank you all for watching. One last super chat. Jason J says, where can I get that cool shirt, Solidarity with Hoboken? I'm not a gentrifier. So I got this shirt actually from Kroger. It is a Demon Slayer shirt. For those of you who don't know, the movie of Demon Slayer just came out, and I'm gonna have to watch that this weekend. I'm incredibly excited. Demon Slayer is probably my second favorite anime. Not that I've seen a lot, but I really, really love Demon Slayer. I love the song from it. Love everything about it. Great characters. I love this shirt. First time wearing it, actually. Cavernacle says, nice one, Mike. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much, Cavernacle. I'm excited to have Cavernacle on. I'm glad to know that you're awake at this time, because I wasn't sure. Because, of course, you're going to be a guest at some point, I hope to. It'd be awesome to have you on, because you're one of my favorite content creators ever. All right, folks. Well, thank you all so much. I am Mike Figueredo, of course. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST, I will be right here doing Dystopian Times. Tune in next week. I will see you all later.